Bu il ne demek? My name is Mr. Mhlongo, and this lesson is brought to you by Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with Saibono Discovery Center. Today we continue, after a while, starting microeconomics. Remember, on our previous lessons, we covered the protectionism and free trade. Today we are on microeconomics, our paper 2. Then under microeconomics, we will be doing perfect market from the beginning to the end today. So that going forward, we'll continue with micro to imperfect markets, which will be divided into 2. Then market failures, which will also be divided into 2. From then, we'll be ready for your paper 2 June examination. Please join me. Let's see what I have in the pocket for you. These are the lesson objectives that will be achieved during the course of this lesson. So after this lesson, you as a candidate will be able to explain, calculate cost and revenues. You will be able to use the graph to explain profit maximization, even use the theory. The lesson will also equip you on discussing characteristics or features of the perfect market. And then it will also emancipate you on drawing the graph and explaining the price determination process under the perfect market. You will also be able to give the difference or distinguish between the market as well as individual firm. Then this lesson will also equip you and give you that ability to discuss in detail 3 equilibrium positions for the firm under the perfect market. The lesson will also equip you on being able to draw or illustrate and explain the shutdown point as well as the formation of the supply curve under the perfect market. At last, the lesson will also help you to understand the South African Competition Policy Act with its 3 competition bodies on how it is being used and what are the main objectives of South African Competition Policy Act. After that, we will be having an assessment. It is believed that you already know the following information related to markets, costs and revenues that you did in grade 11. Market structures, starting from perfect market to the imperfect markets. Types of markets, you are fully informed since we started this in grade 10. The following are the basic concepts that will assist you to understand this lesson. Firstly, we talk about the market, which is known to be a destination or place where buyers and sellers meet to exchange goods and services. The perfect market. We are all about perfect market today, so it is important that you understand what is meant by the perfect market, because from then you will be moving straight to the monopolistic, oligopoly. Then you will touch on the likes of monopsony as well as duopoly. The perfect market refers to the market structure that exists where there are many buyers and sellers, with none of them having an influence over the price. So under perfect market, there are many buyers and also there are many sellers, but it doesn't end there, because if you stop it there, we are also talking to the monopolistic. So there are many buyers and sellers, but none of them have an influence over the price, because the price is determined by market forces, demand and supply. Imperfect market is the market structure that exists when conditions of perfect market are not met. The price taker refers to an individual firm that must accept prevailing prices in a market, lacking the market share to influence the market price on its own. Remember, we say the perfect market is a price taker. Homogeneous product refers to the similar product in appearance, quality for which buyers perceive no actual differences between those products. So if we say products are homogeneous, we also say they are identical. They are homogeneous and they are also identical. It becomes more difficult for the consumer to see any slight difference between those goods, because they look similar in appearance. The quality is also similar. So in that case, we say those goods are homogeneous. Those are goods that are perfectly substitutes for each other. We continue with the terminology short run. So this is a period of production where only the variable factors of production can change while at least one factor is fixed. So if we talk about the short run, we refer to the period of time that is short enough for at least 1 or 2 inputs to be fixed. What do we mean by saying they are fixed? Remember, in the short run, it becomes difficult for the firm to have enough capital to further its production objectives. It has to plan to get enough capital. So capital tends to be fixed in the short run. Also, the labor is also fixed in the short run, because to get the skilled labor take the period of a longer period of time. Is not the part of the short run. Also, as usual, land is fixed. So in the short run, at least 1 or 2 factors of production or inputs are fixed, are not flexible. Long run is a very longer period of time at which all inputs are flexible. In the long run, all factors of production are flexible. They can change anytime, because that simply means the period is long enough to have them being variable or flexible. Profit maximization occurs when individual firms' marginal cost equals to the marginal revenues. Economic loss is the market condition that prevails when average cost, which is AC, exceed average revenues, which is AR, or total cost is greater than or more than total revenues. That simply means expenses that incurred in the business are more than income received by the business. Economic profit is a market condition that prevails when average revenues or total revenues exceed the average cost or total cost. So whenever the firm is making economic profit, that's what we simply say the average revenues are more than average cost, or total costs are more than, total revenues are more than the total cost. Then in that situation, the firm is making economic profit or the supernormal profit. Then we continue with the terminologies. The normal profit is the market condition that prevails when average costs are equal to the average revenues or total costs are equal to the total revenues. This one is regarded as the break-even. Under normal profit, the firm is not making a profit, neither a loss. So this refers to the minimum earnings that prevent the firm from leaving the market. The Competition Commission. It's an institute that investigates restrictive business practices abuse of dominant positions, and illegal measures and takeovers in order to achieve equity in South African economy. And then the Competition Tribunal, an institution that investigates restrictive business practices, abuse of dominant position, and measures in order to achieve equity in South African economy. So to make the difference between the two, remember, the Competition Commission does primary investigation to check if the firm is indeed guilty or not guilty of misconduct in terms of anti-competitive behavior or restrictive practices. And then after investigating, if the firm is found guilty by the Competition Commission, it will then, the commission will suggest the fine to be imposed on the firm that is found guilty and transfer those findings and the suggested fine to whom? To the Competition Tribunal. Then the Competition Tribunal will then review those findings together with the fine and check if they are indeed correct or they are wrong. On its own review, if ever these findings are correct, the Competition Tribunal will accept them. After that, will impose the final fine on the businesses that are found guilty of anti-competitive behavior or restrictive practices. The Competition Appeals Court, referred to the institution whose main function is to review orders made by a Competition Tribunal and amend or confirm these orders. So in this situation, remember, we normally say Competition Appeals Court function as a high court of competition in South Africa. If firms have been found guilty by the Competition Tribunal, then they've been slapped with a certain fine, then they are unhappy with the fine or findings, they have a right to transfer those findings to whom? To the Competition Appeals Court. They appeal the decision. Then on their appealing process, the Competition Tribunal will receive the complaint or the appeal and review the decisions made by the Competition Tribunal. If ever that firm is found guilty, the fine as well as the findings will remain. However, if the firm is not found guilty of any misconduct, the fine and charges will be dropped and will be withdrawn. Then the firm will go free. This is the lesson body. We'll be dealing with this. First, we'll be discussing the cost and revenue schedule. That's when now we give you the difference between different costs. We have about 7 costs and about 3 revenues. And then we will give the difference between short run and long run, which might come in your exam for at least 8 marks. Then we'll also be drawing the graph and explaining thoroughly on the profit maximization when we are using marginal revenues and marginal cost. And then also we'll use the graph to explain the profit maximization when we use total revenues and total cost. Then we'll also discuss characteristics of perfect markets. Then we'll also continue by discussing in detail. If I say in detail, that means that's an essay. We will discuss in detail equilibrium positions for the firm under the perfect market. And then also under characteristics, we can also deal with the market structure. The market structure of the perfect market. It's a form of an essay also because it comes in the exam in that nature. And then we'll also draw the graph and explain the conditions of the shutdown point to say under which conditions does the firm shut down and exit the market. That will be deliberated here. Also, we'll also be able to draw the graph for you and then explain the formation of the supply curve for the firm under the perfect market. After that, we'll be touching on the Competition Policy Act of South Africa with its main objectives. We'll also talk about 3 bodies or institutions that were formed by Competition Policy Act of South Africa to ensure that anti-competitive practices are investigated thoroughly. And then after, we will be giving you their own functions. Each one of them have got its own duties. Then we start short run versus long run. So like I've mentioned before, that short run is a shorter period at which at least 1 or 2 inputs are fixed or are not flexible. In that case, we talk about land. Land is not flexible in the short run. Actually, it's fixed even in the long run. And then capital is not flexible in the short run. Also, labor is not flexible in the short run. It takes time for the labor to be ready for being used or to enter the labor market. Then also, only variable factors of production are flexible to change. Then we continue still on the short run. Long run is a period at which all inputs are flexible. In the long run, the firm can be able to accumulate capital in the short run. Then in the long run, they have enough money to further their production objectives. And then also, those that are willing to enter labor market can be able to enter the labor market in the long run because they have gone for relevant training and skills in order to be employable. The period is too long for all factors of production to change or to be flexible or to vary. New firms can enter the market while existing firms can leave or exit the market. In the long run, it becomes more easier for new firms to enter the market because they have enough capital to do so. And then existing firms that have already exhausted their profits can also leave the market. And this is the cost and revenue schedule. So we start with the variable cost. Remember, we say variable cost refers to the cost that will change with the output. If something varies, we mean it changes. So variable costs are costs that are flexible. They change with the output size. For instance, we talk about water and electricity cost. If you produce more using electricity, you spend more on electricity. If you produce less, you spend less on electricity because that cost is a variable cost. It is flexible to change with the output. And then we talk about the fixed cost. These are the costs that do not change with the output. They remain constant for the given period of time. For instance, we talk about the rent. Rent remain fixed for the given period because if you are renting a particular place, that simply means you sign the lease agreement with the landlord. For that situation, then rent cannot be flexible. Even if you have more visitors, your rent will remain at the same amount that was agreed upon on the lease agreement. And then we talk about the average cost. This is the cost per unit produced. Then we have a formula here. So in terms of the formula, we say average cost, which is AC equal to TC over Q, which is total cost over the quantity. Remember, the variable cost is also called VC in this situation. The fixed cost is called FC. And then we have marginal cost. Marginal cost refers to the cost that incur after producing an extra additional unit. Whenever any extra unit has been produced, we incur the marginal cost. How do we calculate? So to calculate marginal cost, we'll say MC equals to change in TC over change in Q. So the change in total cost over change in quantity. It is very important for you to know that if you calculate marginal cost, you remember that there is a change. You don't just say TC over Q because by doing so, we are calculating average cost. You need to get the change where you are subtracting your latest number to the new number, just like that in both the total cost as well as what you call the quantity. So we look for the change in that situation. We continue. The total cost, the sum of all variable cost and fixed cost. So we call that total cost. How do we calculate? We say variable cost plus fixed cost. Average variable cost, the variable cost divided by the total output. So we say VC over Q. Then we get average variable cost. Average fixed cost, which should be obvious to you now. We simply say fixed cost over the quantity, which is FC over Q. Average total cost, which is ATC, we say ATC equals to TC over Q. So if you can check, average total cost is similar to what we call to average cost. Yeah, the amount is the same in there. So these are the cost, we call this the cost schedule. From then we go to the revenue schedule. Remember, if we talk about revenues, we refer to the income earned by the business. While if we talk about the cost, we refer to the expenses that incur in the business. So we start with the average revenues. These are the revenues or income earned per individual unit or user. So we say AR equals to TR over Q. It's the total revenue divided by the quantity. Then we have marginal revenues. So these are revenue received after selling an extra additional unit. Once we sell one extra additional unit, we earn or receive what we call the marginal revenue. Then we say MR as for marginal revenue equal to TR over Q, which is total revenue over the quantity. Then we go to the total revenues. So this refers to the total income received by the business. So in this situation, how do we calculate? We say TR equals to P times Q, then we get our total revenues. These are the cost and revenues schedule that are important for you as you prepare for your formal assessment, which is your June examination, prelim as well as the final exam. Then now we move to the profit maximization. How do we maximize profit? Under which condition will the firm maximize its profit? So there are two ways. The profit maximization occur in two ways. Firstly, the intersection of MR and MC, which is marginal revenues and as well as marginal cost, as well as the as well as using TR and TC. So the intersection is MR and MC, but as for TR and TC, intersection doesn't mean profit maximization. Remember, under this condition, the profit is maximized when total cost furthers away from total revenue slope. The individual firm is responsible for choosing the best output it can produce at the given price to maximize its profit. Remember, each firm is always willing to maximize the profit. So that the point of the profit maximization is the key, or it's very important for any business, because each business function to maximize or to get more profit. Also, Whenever the firm incurs the loss, the firm is always willing to minimize the loss. No firm wants to maximize the loss. Each firm wants to minimize the loss because loss is not a good thing for any business. Producing below the profit maximization output results to a firm failing to maximize its profit. Meaning, if the firm produces less than the profit maximization output, that firm won't be getting enough profit as expected. It is unnecessary for the firm to produce beyond the profit maximization output. Once the firm maximizes the profit, it will be unnecessary for the firm to produce beyond that point because it has already maximized its profit, so it becomes unnecessary. So this is the graph of the profit maximization when we use marginal revenues as well as the marginal cost. So we are given the table here for the quantity, the price, marginal revenues, marginal cost, and also determining if the firm is making a profit or a loss. So let's check. I won't be calculating the profit or loss, but I will tell you if the firm is making a profit or a loss. Okay, let's check. You focus on the two, MR and MC. So MR stands for income for the business, MC stands for the cost for the business. So in the first place, in quantity number 1, the price is 40. How much is marginal revenue? It's 40. How much is the cost? It's 10. Then the firm is making a profit because revenues are more than the cost. Quantity number 2. And then the price is 40. The marginal revenues are 40. Marginal costs are 20. Then the firm is also making a profit because revenues are more than the cost. And then quantity number 3, price remains at 40, but the marginal revenue is 40 also. And then the marginal cost is 30. The firm still makes a profit. And then quantity number 4, that's where the firm will maximize its profit because marginal revenues are equal to 40, marginal costs are 40. So in that situation, that means MC equals to MR even graphically. That firm is not making a profit or a loss. We call that the break-even point or normal profit. So that's when the firm maximizes its profit in there. And then point number 5 is now a loss because we are talking about the point above the revenues. Remember, marginal revenues is horizontal under perfect market. It's just the straight line that is horizontal from the middle of your axis. So in that situation, at any point above that line, that means cost exceed revenues because the marginal cost is an upward sloping curve, more like the supply curve, but the marginal revenue is just horizontal. So at this point, which is quantity number 5, marginal revenues are 40, marginal costs are 50. The firm is making economic loss. And then quantity number 6, the marginal revenues remain at 40. Remember, the MR remain constant because MR is horizontal. It doesn't change because the firm will be depending on the market to set the new price for the price to change. So in this situation, the MR remained fixed because the market has never changed the price. The price remains at 40. However, the marginal cost will keep on moving up and down along the what we call the MC curve. So we can see that marginal cost is 60. Then the firm is making economic loss. So let's look at the graph. That is our marginal revenues being horizontal. So that is MR. Then let's look at our MC. There is MC being upward sloping. We know that under perfect market, MC is also the supply curve for the firm. Then let's check we have our MC or marginal cost. Then we have the point down there. Then we have 10 in terms of marginal cost. And then 1 in terms of quantity. Then the second point, what we have there, we have 20 in terms of marginal cost. Then we have 2 in terms of quantity. The third point, which is not yet the equilibrium, we have 30 in terms of marginal cost, then we have 3 in terms of the quantity. And then there we get to the point of profit maximization, where MR equals to MC. Then we can see that our marginal revenue is 40, and also marginal cost is 40 in there. They are both equal in that point of intersection. What is the quantity? Quantity is 4, meaning the firm is maximizing its profit at 40 and the output, which is, or quantity, which is 4. And then that is point E. There we indicate that is the point where MR equals to MC. Then the next point above. So be aware that any point above this MR, which is horizontal, indicates economic loss because that means your costs are more than your revenues. Let's check. Your MC is more than MR in this situation. So you have your MC being 50, but your MR equals to 40. Then the firm starts to incur the economic loss. Then we see the quantity is 5 in there. And then also the last point up there, still economic loss. The MR is 60, but what is the value of MC? The MC is how much is 60, but MR remains at 40 because it is fixed until the market determines the new price. Then the quantity is 6. Then we indicate any point below point E indicates economic profit because marginal revenues exceed marginal cost. Thereafter, any point above point E indicates economic loss because marginal revenues is less than marginal cost, or marginal cost is more than marginal revenues. This is the graph for the profit maximization using what you call MR and MC. Remember, the profit is maximized at point E where MR equals to MC. And then your MR remain constant at 4. It doesn't change because the firm is a price setter under perfect market. It is not responsible to set any price because firms are too much, or they are mainly, no firm can influence the price due to no firm can dominate the market. So any point above point E indicates economic loss because MC is more than MR. Any point below or beneath point E indicates economic profit because MR is more than MC in that situation. Then we go to maximizing the profit or profit maximization using total revenues and total cost. So let's check. We have our quantity and the price, or cost and revenues. Cost and revenues are on the vertical axis, and then here on the horizontal we have quantity. Then we are given the table here. In quantity 1, total revenues are equal to 40, and then total cost are equal to 60. What is happening here? In Q1, then we have this one. The total revenues are equals to 40. That's what we are saying. Yes, here they are 40, but the total costs are equals to 60, slightly above here. That means the firm is making economic loss because TC is more than TR. Then we continue. Quantity number 2. Total revenues equal to 80, total cost equal to 80. Or in that case, the firm is not making a profit, neither a loss, because this is the point that I'm talking about. This point, this is where the firm total revenues are equal to the firm's total cost. So in this situation, the firm is not making a profit, neither a loss. So the profit equals to 0 in there. And then we continue. In quantity number 3, total revenues are equals to 120, and then total costs are equals to 100. Let's check. Total revenues are 120, and then total cost 100. In that case, the firm is making the profit because that simply means revenues are more than the cost. In quantity number 4, here, total revenues are 160. There is 160, and then total costs are 130. And then the firm is still making a economic profit. Quantity number 5, total revenues are 200. Total costs are also 200. The firm is breaking even also, meaning this is the point we are talking about because TR and TC are equal. Then in quantity 6, total revenues are 240, total costs are 260. You can see here that TR is just here, but TC is slightly above there. You can see TC overlaps slightly. That makes economic loss for the business. So let's see. There is the point I was talking about. And then let's check. Remember, how do you maximize the profit here? The profit is maximized at the point where TC furthers away from TR. You can see that at this point, total cost is far away from total revenues. Then the firm is maximizing its profit when we use TR and TC. Then we say profit maximization point there because total cost is far away from total revenues in that position. Then we talk about the long run and the short run. Remember, in the long run, firms can enter the market because inputs are flexible. So perfect market is characterized by freedom of entry and exit to new firms and existing firms. Firms can enter the market anytime. New entrants are always attracted by supernormal profits or economic profits enjoyed by existing firms. So they will ask you that why do firms, or what attracts firms to enter the market and to enter the perfect market? They are attracted by profit that are enjoyed by what we call existing firms. If ever existing firms are making the profits, new firms will always be attracted to enter the market. Supernormal profits are earned by existing firms. Earned by existing firms serves as an incentive for new firms to enter the market. Whenever firms are enjoying supernormal profits, which are existing, new firms or firms that are willing to enter the market will be attracted because that becomes an incentive for them. As new entrants access the market supply increases. Look now, if ever new firms enter the market supply will be increasing. However, what will happen to the firms that are existing? The firms that are already existing in the market will find themselves faced by a high level of competition, meaning their supply will be decreasing, which will be reducing their profits from economic profit to the normal profit because of increased competition. So as new firms enter the market, the supply will be shifting from S to S1, meaning the market supply will be increasing. Remember, as the supply increases more than the demand, what will happen? The price will be dropping down, it will be pushed down, market price will drop, which will be making the firm's equilibrium position also to be flexible from E on top to go down to E1. Okay, this results to the loss of market share by existing firms. They then produce less due to high competition. As new firms enter the market, remember they don't come in with their consumers. As they enter the market, they are here to compete. Then as they enter to compete, they will be taking consumers from existing firms, meaning those existing firms now will find themselves being troubled by a high level of competition. Their consumers will be lost. Their profits will be reduced from economic profit to the normal profit because of the increase in competition. However, that is good for the market because the market finds itself supplying even more goods and services because of the increase in number of firms that are existing in the market. So here are the graphs. So remember, in this situation, we have two graphs. The first one and the second one, they follow each other. So you have your supply, we have your demand. And then wherever they meet, we have equilibrium point. Then we have our price and the quantity originally. And then the firm is a price taker. For that reason, our demand curve will be horizontal, meaning the firm will be taking the price, which is P, exactly so on the same line. Then we say D equal AR equals to MR. After that, remember, we have our supply curve as MC. MC is our supply curve under the perfect market. So you can see at the point where MC equals to MR, the firm maximizes the profit, that's point E, which will be flexible because as the market decreases the price, that will mean the equilibrium position will be shifting down. Then we have our AC. Our AC in this situation indicates economic profit because you can see that the firm is enjoying the profit due to the fact that the what you call revenues are more than the cost. Costs are turning down there, but revenues are simply above. If you can put numbers, we can say maybe this is 10, this is 20. This is also 20, there is 10 going down. So in that case, the firm is enjoying the profit because there are still less number of firms supplying the product. Then what happens? Should firms enter the market, if new firms enter the market supply will be increasing from S to S1. You can see S1 shifting to the right in there. As S1 shifts to the right, the price will be dropping down because the supply for the market increases faster than the demand. For that sake, we can see that we have P1, the price is dropping down from P to P1. This is our P1, meaning the price is decreasing. While the quantity supplied increases from Q to Q1, then we have the new equilibrium that down there, which is our E1. Then the firm is a price taker. This firm have to take the price, which is P1 there. Then we see the firm taking the price. Then you have your D1 equal AR1 equals to MR1. In that situation, then you have the new point of intersection, which then we have your MR1 being equals to MC. We have a new equilibrium position there. That is our P1 as a price taker. And then there is the new equilibrium position. So meaning the perfect market, perfectly competitive firm equilibrium position is flexible, unlike the one for the monopoly. The one for the perfect market is flexible. It can change anytime because the firm does not have influence over the price. If the market set the new price, there will be the new equilibrium along the supply curve. You can see that MC is our supply curve under what you call under the perfect market. So any point of intersection between the demand and supply here creates an equilibrium. Remember, we say this is the supply and this is also the demand. So there is an equilibrium. Then we say that equilibrium is achieved when MC equals to MR. Same thing applies when we talk about the market or the industry. And then let's look at the output. Remember, the firm's output increased from maybe 100 to 200. I mean the market output. It increased because there are many firms that are in the market now. Then we assume that this firm was producing 20 units on its own. Then now the firm supply along the supply curve, which is our MC, has been decreased from 20 maybe to 10. Now the firm is producing relatively less because of the increase in competition. What has happened now to the profit that was enjoyed by the firm initially before new firms entered the market? The profit has been reduced from economic profit or supernormal profit to the normal profit. How do we see that? Look at this point. AC is equals to what we call AR1. Here they are both equal. And then in that situation, the firm is making a normal profit. It was economic profit profit before because our AR was more while AC was less. But now AC is equal to the AR1. In that situation, the firm's profit has been reduced to the normal profit due to the end of new firms. Then equilibrium position will be shifting from E to E1, meaning it is flexible to change. Then you can come across the question saying, why is the perfect competitive firm's equilibrium position flexible compared to the one for the monopoly? The perfect competitive firm equilibrium position is flexible because the firm is the price taker. As the market set the new price, they will. As the firm said, as the market set the new price, the firm will be taking the price. Remember, if the price is dropping down, the equilibrium position will always be shown along the supply curve, at the point where it intersects what we call the demand curve. Our demand curve, this is the one. Our supply curve is MC. So at the point where MC equals to MR, remember MC is also the supply curve. MR is also the demand. Then we have the equilibrium position. Take it that way, you will understand it better. There we have the same graph. Then we see the intersection of S and D creates equilibrium point E, equilibrium price P, and equilibrium quantity Q. We can see we have those ones created, Q, E, and P. These are original points, S and D. And then the individual firm takes the price. Price P along D equal AR equals to M. We can see the price is taken along, then here we go. And then profits attract new firms. As firms, as existing firms make the profit, new firms will be attracted. Then they enter the market, attracted by the profit. The entry of new firms increase the market supply from S to S1. You can see that the market supply or the supply curve has shifted or increased to the right from S to S1. You can see that. And then there is a new equilibrium point being created at E1, and then there's a new price which is P1, and new quantity which is Q1. And then the individual firms take the price, which is P1, as a price taker. We can see that the firm has taken the price, and then you have your D1 equal to AR1 equal to MR1. And then after, the individual, okay, I've spoken about that. At P1, existing individual firms make the normal profit. So when we go down to P1, the firm is making a normal profit because AC equals to AR1. That's a normal profit. Then AR equal to AC, meaning AR1 equals to AC. The quantity by the individual firm decreases to Q1. We can see the quantity decreasing from maybe 20 to 10 because the firm is faced by high level of competition. Remember, if ever you were the only supplier of the product in your own corner by your street, then now you come across, then you will be making more profit because you don't have a competitor. Should you come across now the increase in competition, that will be increasing in the market supply for your product and the increase in competition. That simply means that you are no longer going to produce as much as you used to produce because your consumers will be shifting to different suppliers. For that reason, your profit will be reduced from the economic profit to the normal profit because of high competition. That's what I'm talking about here. Then what happens when firms are leaving the market? As firms leave the market supply will be decreasing. So as the market supply decreases, while the demand is more, that will be leading to the increase in price. As the price increases, the firm will take the new higher price. That will be leaving the individual firm with more stake to produce or supply in the market. If ever firms are being reduced in the market, existing firms find themselves under pressure to produce and supply more goods and services. That will encourage them to produce more and make even more profit. The perfect market freedom of exit results in existing firms leaving the market as new firms are entering the market. Then this has a negative impact on the market supply. The market output will be decreasing. As firms are leaving the market, then having less firms remaining, that will mean the market output or quantity produced will be decreasing. Then this results in more output by remaining firms. So like I was saying, maybe you were 20 in your corner when you were producing the product. Now about 18 firms left the market. You are only 2. That will mean now, as they leave, they don't live with consumers. Consumers remain with you. You will then be under pressure as a producer to produce more to serve these consumers. That will mean now, as a remaining firm, you will have to produce more goods and services. Meaning along your MC or along the supply curve, there will be an upward or increasing equilibrium from E to E1, indicating that the firm is now producing more goods and services, which will then be increasing the firm's profit from the normal profit to the economic profit. As the remaining firm increase the output, it enjoys the supernormal profit because average revenues will be more than the average cost, meaning AR will be more than AC or TR will be more than TC. This is the graph. So these are the original points that were explained even before. So now let's see when firms are entering the market. Are leaving the market. There you see when firms leave the market, the supply curve will be shifting from right to the left, from S to S1. As that happens, the demand curve remains constant at the highest point. For that reason, the price will be increasing from P to P1. You can see the connection in there. The price is increasing from P to P1, and then the quantity is decreasing from Q to Q1. This is the quantity supplied by the market. Remember, the quantity supplied by the market is always more than the quantity supplied by individual firm, unless the firm is the monopoly. That means the quantity by the firm is also the same as the quantity by the market. But in this situation of the perfect market, if ever the quantity for the firm, if ever the market supply decreases, the quantity for the market will be decreasing, but the firm will be encouraged to produce more because it will be having more consumers to supply for, while firms have already been reduced. Then let's check with the E1 point, meaning the equilibrium point. The new equilibrium is created then. After that, the firm is a price taker. So the firm will be taking the price at P1. Then we had D equal to AR equal to MR, but now it's D1 equal to AR1 equal to MR1. Then the new price is taken, that is P1. Meaning if the price maybe was 60, the firm will take the price at 60 because the firm does not have influence over the price. It is the price taker. Then you see the new equilibrium position. Since the firm now has to produce more. Initially, the firm was making a normal profit because our AC was equals to the the AR. That was the normal profit initially. But when the firms are leaving the market, the firm remain with more responsibility to produce more goods and services. That is shifting equilibrium position up from E to E1, leaving the firm with more stake to produce. You can see we have point E1, then the firm is now producing more goods and services. From Q to Q1, the firm used to produce 15 units, but now the firm is now producing about 30 units. For that reason, the firm will be making a profit. How do we see that? Look, AC remained down there at the original demand curve. So AC is P, but what we call AR1 is P1. If this was the price, we say it's 60, now it's 80, meaning revenues have increased, but cost where AC tends remain at 60. For that reason, the firm is making economic profit. So we are saying, as firms are leaving the market, then while few firms are remaining in the market, that will lead to existing firms enjoying even more profit because of the increase in market share. Remember, consumers are shared in the market. If firms are leaving the market, they don't live with consumers. Consumers remain in this market, and producers will be enjoying those consumers, meaning they will have to produce more, which will be increasing their profit. You can see this firm was producing 15, but when firms left the market in this situation, then we have this firm producing even more goods, is producing 30. That's why the firm is now making a profit, because the AR is now 80, but AC is 60. For that reason, the firm is enjoying economic profit. Be careful and be aware of this graph. These kinds of graphs, you must know the theory, you must know the graphical explanation also. So it is important for you to be able to answer the question to say, what impact will it be if firms leave the market? So let's check the impact is on who. What impact will it be on the market and individual firm if existing firms are leaving the market? On the market and individual firms. What happens on the market? As firms are leaving the market supply decreases, meaning the quantity produced maybe was 300, but now it's only 200. So the market supply has decreased while the demand remains high. You can see demand remains at 300. Then what happens? The price will be increasing because the demand is more than the supply in this situation. We demand 300 units, but they only supply 200. That is pushing the price up to P1. And then what is going to happen? That put the price up. So the market will experience less output, less competition, as well as high prices. But the firm will experience more output size because the firm will then be producing more goods and services, and also the increase in the quantity supplied along the MC, which is our supply curve. Then the firm will find itself enjoying economic profit because of the decrease in competition. Then we have the graph explaining. The same graph comes in, then we explain the original points. We talk about S and D intersecting there to create the original equilibrium. Then we have P and Q as original price and quantity. And then our demand curve, we say D equal to AR equals to MR, which is also equal to the price. Then firms are leaving the market. As firms exit the market, the exit of firms decreases the market supply. So, from S to S1. So from right to the left, new equilibrium is created at E1, meaning it goes up because the price is increasing. Then the new price is created to P1, and the new quantity will be created, which will be decreasing. The individual producer or firm take the price at P1 as a new price, and then at P1, existing producer or firms makes economic profit because the AR is more than AC. You can see that your AR is up there, which maybe it's 80, but your AC is down there, which is 60. For that reason, is making economic profit. So should firms leave the market, existing firms will find themselves enjoying economic profit or supernormal profit because of the decrease in competition. There we go on the perfect market, which has also been defined as a market structure that exists where there are many buyers and sellers, with none of them having an influence over the price, and they sell or produce homogeneous products. The most crucial component that makes perfect market includes high competition, freedom of entry and exit, maximum consumer choice, perfect information, and no influence over the price. We say this is the perfect market because of these conditions. There is a freedom of entry and exit. Firms are price takers. They are not setting the price. Market forces under perfect market are fully responsible to determine the price. For that reason, you can say that's a perfect market. Also, there are no barriers to entry. Firms can enter the market and also others can leave the market. One of the most important things that can be a barrier to entry, information. Under perfect market, there is a perfect or complete market information, meaning consumers and producers are fully informed about the prevailing market conditions. And none of them have an influence over the price because firms are price takers, and then the price is determined by market forces, demand and supply. The accessible market end result in high competition, freedom of choice for consumers, and lower prices. These are some advantages of the perfect market. The perfect market examples, we talk about the foreign exchange markets, and then we talk about Johannesburg Security Exchange, we talk about agricultural produces. We can add more. Like last year, the previous grade 12s, we spoke about with them the Uber industry as a part of the, e-hailing industry as a part of the perfect market, because market forces, they are very much active to determine the price. Also, the demand, supply are very much influential. So in that situation, we regarded them as a part of the perfect market. And then let's continue. I think now we are dealing with the characteristics of the perfect market. There are many buyers and sellers, so the market is accessible to new entrants, which increase the number of suppliers. Each individual producer supplies only a small part of the total market output or supply. No firms can have a market power in there because there are many firms that are existing. A producer will be able to control only utilization of production factors and the extent of his production, with no control over the price, meaning firms cannot influence the price. And then all perfect market individual firms are price takers. None of them can influence the price. So the question can be, what can happen if the firm under perfect market increases its prices? Number one, remember, consumers are fully informed about the prevailing market conditions. Should the firm decide to increase its prices over the market price, that will mean it will lose its market share of consumers. Then the firm will be losing also its profits. And that firm will no longer be regarded as a part of the perfect market, because under perfect market, firms are not having any control or influence over the price, but they are price takers. Homogeneous products. If we talk about a homogeneous product, we refer to products that are similar to each other or they are identical. They don't have any obvious difference between each other. They are equal. They are similar in appearance, similar in quality. So in that situation, we say they are homogeneous. You can't easily see any difference, and they are perfect substitute for each other. Homogeneous products are the perfect substitute for each other as they satisfy the similar or the same utility. The product similarity has no influence on buyers as they choose to buy from different suppliers in their market. They can choose to buy from any supplier, unlike in the monopoly where the consumer will only buy from the specific firm that is the only supplier in the market. Under perfect market, consumers are free to buy from any supplier of their choice within the market. There's a large output size, obviously, because of high number of firms that are existing. Output size is too high. Like you could check when you drew the graph where the market and the industry. Under the market, there's so much supply because each and every firm produces its own output, which is added together to the market output. Large number of sellers results in high output size within the market. This allows consumers a freedom of choice as they can buy from whoever or whomever supplier of their choice. Inefficiencies and shortages do not occur due to large number of businesses, each of them supplying their small portion in the market. Then we continue. The firm is a price taker. Price Prices are determined by intersection of the market forces, demand and supply, meaning firms are not having any influence over the price. No individual firm can influence the price or control the price under perfect market. Each perfect market business or firm decides on the output size to be produced on the given price. So the market sets the price, the firm takes the price. It only decides on the output where it can maximize the profit or where it can minimize the loss. It does not affect or influence the price. So the firm can only decide on what we call on the output side. Unlike in the monopoly, where the firm under the monopoly will be using the price to determine the output. Here under perfect market, the price remains fixed until the market sets the new price, and then the firm takes the price. After that, the firm will only decide the size of output it can produce on the given price. All perfect competitive firms accept the prevailing price from the market, or they accept the market price that have been provided to them. They don't set any price. As a result, no firm can sell the product above or below the market price. So if the firm sell above the market price or below the market price, the firm is no longer regarded as a part of the perfect market. Increasing the price will result to the firm, consumers not buying from that firm because they have a complete market information. They don't have what we call an asymmetric information or principal agent information. High prices might result to loss of market share, while lower prices can affect the profit that is made by the business. There is a horizontal demand curve. So individual firm is characterized or represented by horizontal demand curve, meaning the demand curve for the firm under perfect market is perfectly elastic. Meaning, why is this demand curve horizontal? Remember, the firm is a price taker. That demand curve must always be in line with the price determined by the market. So the demand curve remains horizontal. This is because individual firms in a perfect market are price takers. They do not have control or influence over the price. There we see the demand curve horizontal and vertical has been drawn in there. We have our demand curve, and then we continue quantity and the price, quantity on horizontal, price on the vertical. Then we have our P there as a price takers. That is the demand curve. So firm is a price taker. That's why you see the demand curve being in this nature, which is horizontal. Horizontal demand curve. So in the exam, they can simply say, distinguish between the demand curve for the perfect market as well as a monopolist firm. Be able to draw those graphs because the one for the perfect market is horizontal, but the one for the monopoly is downward sloping but relatively inelastic. That will be discussed on our next lesson under imperfect market. There is no collusion. Remember, collusion occurs when firms within the same industry met or meet to discuss the price fixing as well as production techniques. So it can happen in two ways. One can be discussed, one is not discussed. We have an implicit collusion as well as explicit collusion. And implicit is undiscussed collusion. That's when firms copy each other's strategies without any formal agreement or formal discussion. That happens under price leadership process. But under explicit collusion, that's when firms meet in cartels to discuss price fixing and production techniques and agree on the price to be charged. In that situation, collusion does not exist in this kind of the market structure. It is only possible under oligopoly, even though it's illegal. Firms act independently from one another. They are not joined in decision making as in oligopoly. Only the price may influence the exchange of the buyers and sellers. Cartels and price fixing agreements or agreements do not occur or exist because only the market can determine the price under perfect market. Collusion means that sellers and buyers enter into an agreement or arrangement or understanding to limit competition to gain market power so they can influence the price. Under perfect market, we don't have such. The market is the only one responsible to set the price. Also, there are no barriers to entry. There are no restrictions that are predetermined to block the entry of new businesses. That's why we said the market entry is completely free to new firms and the exit is also free to existing firms. There is a freedom of entry and exit under perfect market. The market entry is completely free to new firms. New firms can enter the market. New firms are free to enter the market if attracted by profit, while existing firms are free to leave the market. Then the market is freely accessible with no barriers that prohibit the entry of new businesses or competitors. So both natural barriers to entry and artificial barriers to entry are non-existing under perfect market. Firms are free to enter. Even the market information is free here, meaning it cannot be a barrier to entry for new businesses. Barriers to entry such as high startup cost of capital, aggressive advertising, patents, and economies of scale do not exist under perfect competitive firms or market. Firms are not surrounded by any barrier to entry. They are free to enter or leave the market. There is a high level of competition under perfect market. The market is not regulated. Buyers buy what they want, wherever they want, at their chosen quantity, at their chosen time. Businesses act freely at their own will, meaning they are not influenced by anyone. The government does not intervene to regulate the market. Businesses act independently to maximize their profits at their chosen output size, meaning they choose output size they can produce on the given price by the market. There is no government intervention. Simply means and a perfect market, who answers economic questions? The business itself will answer economic questions on what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. There is also a perfect market information, meaning consumers and producers are fully informed about prevailing market conditions. None of them is having a hidden information. There is no asymmetric information. What do we mean by an asymmetric information? We mean one party has more information while another party has less information. Remember, that is very much dangerous because it can lead to what we call the price discrimination. If ever we are involved in what we call in the situation of hiding information, there can be a situation whereby the consumer is not fully informed about the price while the producer knows the price. Then the consumer come around asking for the price, the producer simply inflate the price while others are also buying at the lower price. Then that is known to be the price discrimination. So we don't have what we call also a principal agent information, whereby one party has more information to be transferred to another party. They all know what quality of goods is available, what the market prices are, and how are products being produced. New sellers have access to the market information to easily compete with existing firms. All buyers know what the characteristics of the producers are, how much they should be paying, and where it can be bought, meaning the market information is completely free and also is perfect. There is a freedom of choice. Remember, there is a free entry of businesses. There is high competition. So consumers are free to buy from any supplier of their choice within the market. They are not compelled to buy from one supplier like in the monopoly. If one firm cannot supply the product, consumers have an alternating supplier to buy from the same product. Unlike in the monopoly, consumers are exposed to variety of choices within the market. So in the perfect market, there's a high level of exposure to different goods and services available in the market to different suppliers, unlike in the monopoly where there's only supply of the product without any alternative product being available. Efficiencies are achieved. In this situation, we talk about productive and or technical efficiency as well as allocative efficiencies are achieved. Why? Because under perfect market, the firm can optimize the use of its factors of production. At the same time, goods are produced and supplied at the right quality, right quantity, and the right time. Meaning, in this situation of the perfect market, firms there are many to make goods available as much as they are demanded by consumers. So efficiencies are achieved because even the quality is at the highest level due to the fact that under perfect market, there is high competition and there's a high demand for firms to be innovative and creative. They always bring new strategies to maximize their profits, which will then improve the quality of goods and services. Goods and services are produced at the right quantity, right quality, and the right time under perfect market because of high level of efficiencies. Then benefits of the perfect markets. We check how to perfect market become an incentive into the economy and social welfare. Since we have the perfect market, how does it benefit the economy and the wellness of the society? Let's check the advantages. We are looking for the advantages of perfect market now. You can come across such a question. There is high competition in the market, which creates a variety of choices for consumers. So consumers can choose from any supplier of their choice in the market. Perfect information for consumers prevents inefficiency use of their financial resources. Then also, the perfect market condition protects consumers from being exploited to high prices because they are fully informed, and also with more consumers, prices are always lower. They become competitive. Perfect competition promotes innovation and quality. Firms find themselves being encouraged to be innovative and creative, which promotes the quality of goods and services. Lower selling prices improve social gain or welfare. With lower prices, there will be social welfare because consumers will be affording those goods and services. Large market output positively contribute to country's GDP and economic growth. Since there is more output size in the market, there can be more GDP and economic growth in the country. High competition creates a greater opportunity to job creation. With more competition, there will be a high level of job created in the market because there will be many firms entering the market to produce goods and services, which will then demand more labor in the economy. Less government interference, increase market entry and the level of investment in the economy. Also improve competitiveness because there will be more firms entering the market, including FDIs, firms that are coming from foreign countries, will be entering the market to compete with the local businesses, which will then improve our efficiency. Then we have the market structure. As we sum it up, number of sellers, there are many sellers. Nature of products, they are homogeneous or identical or similar. Price determination, the firm, the price taker, industry set the price. Individual firms, demand curve, the demand curve is horizontal or perfectly elastic. Output size, there is large output size because of large number of firms. Entry and exit, there's free entry and exit, there are no barriers to entry. Availability of information, there's a complete or perfect information for both buyers and sellers. Profits, the firm enjoys supernormal profit in the short run and normal profit in the long run. The question is, why does the firm enjoy normal profit in the long run? It is because in the long run, all inputs are flexible, so new firms can easily enter the market. As they enter the market, that particular profit will be reduced to the normal profit. That is explained by the graph that I drew initially there when I was explaining. Market regulation, the market is not regulated by the government. The firm is the one that decides on what to produce, how and for whom to produce. Then we talk about the industry versus the firm. So it is very important for you to know the difference between industry and the firm. So this is the industry. Under industry, we have an industry as the umbrella. Then within the industry, there are different firms that are existing, producing their own goods and service. All of these are the firms producing their own outputs within the industry. So within the industry, there are many firms that are existing to produce these homogeneous products or these identical products. These are the firms that are within the industry. The industry consists of all firms that produce similar products. So the industry consists of firms that are producing that particular product under perfect market. But if we talk about other markets, it can be differentiated. The total output for an industry is the sum of same output produced by all individual firms. So each firm is producing its own components. Maybe one firm produces 20 units per day. Then that output is populated together to give us the industry output. Industries differ in number of firms. Some have many firms while some have less firms. The number of firms in an industry will influence the possible market share each individual firm has and a power to influence the price. Under perfect market, remember, there are so many firms in a way that no firm can influence the price. There is no firm that can dominate the market, that have market power. In that situation, then none of the firms can influence the price. So if firms are mainly like in the perfect market, no firm can influence or affect the price. But if firms are less like in the oligopoly or the monopoly, under monopoly, one firm influence the price. Under oligopoly, those few firms or dominant firms will influence the price. The fewer firms if the fewer firms are in the industry, the larger the market power they have, like in the oligopoly. The individual firm is the price taker, cannot influence the price, but must accept the price determined by the industry through the market forces, demand and supply. The firm can decide to sell any quantity of the product at the given market price. So it is very important for you to know that the firm under perfect market does not influence the price. It only decides on the output to be produced on the given price. This means that the demand curve for the individual firm will remain horizontal like it was drawn. The firm will take the price. So when the price is determined, there will be a new demand curve being drawn in there. Perfect information make it impossible for the individual firm to charge a higher price, since buyers are well informed about what the market price is supposed to be. If so, they will buy from other firms in case the firm decide to increase the price. The individual producer also will not charge a lower price because it would not be rational and he will not be able to maximize his or her own profits. The price determination process, then we have the graph, a vertical and horizontal price and the quantity. And then also we continue with our supply curve, which is S, and then we have our demand curve going down there. Remember, supply curve is upward sloping, demand curve is downward sloping from top left to the bottom right. And then we connect our our price and the quantity. There we go P and Q at the connection there in the middle, we have equilibrium point, because that's where S equals to D. Then this is the market or the industry. There we go. Industry price, the industry will determine the price in this situation. The industry is represented by the downward sloping demand curve. The demand curve for the industry represents existing firms that produce the same product. The market mechanism determines the price, or the market price P, through intersection of demand and supply, all firms within the industry are entitled to take the market price. Then examination guidelines, individual business and industry, distinguish between individual businesses and the industry. Use graph to explain derivation of the demand curve. It is important for you to know this. Then we go individual firms as a price taker. We start with the market. Then we go with price and the quantity. After that, we have our supply and the demand. Remember, supply is upward sloping, demand is downward sloping. We connect our price and the quantity. Then we have the equilibrium there. 90 the price and the quantity is Q. Then we have our supply as S, then demand as D. There we have the equilibrium. And then, okay, we have our D there. There is E for equilibrium. After that, we have our demand curve, this side as a price taker, the firm. We have our horizontal, vertical axis, then horizontal. After that, we have our new demand curve, meaning the firm is a price taker. There we go with the quantity under the individual firm. After that, we have the 90. So if the firm is a price taker, the market set the price at 90, the firm take the price. There is our demand curve there at D. And then this is individual firm taking the price. Then the firm is a price taker, does not have any influence over the price. They can say with the aid of graph, explain the price determination process under the perfect market. Here we go. All right, we continue. There is our price completing the graph. After that, we move to the next. We're explaining the graph now. There we have our graphs. Then the index determine the price at 90. We can see the price is 90 there. And then the market price, demand and supply. The individual firm take the price at 90 days, 90 taken by the firm along the demand. The demand curve for the market or industry is downward sloping. You can see it's downward sloping from top left to the bottom right. Or negatively sloping, while the demand curve for the firm is horizontal. There you go, it's horizontal because the firm is a price taker. Both supply curves for the industry and the individual firm are upward sloping. You can see the supply curve there going up, and then our MC will also be going up as the supply curve for this firm under perfect market. The individual firm can produce at any output at the given price of 90, meaning the firm can produce up to infinity given the price. Output can vary, can change up to infinity given the price, meaning it cannot influence the price, but can only influence the total output it can be able to produce at the given price. Equilibrium position for the firm under perfect market. We have economic profit, economic loss, normal profit. These are three equilibrium positions. Let's check 5.4 in your examination guideline, output, profit and loss and supply. Distinguish in detail the various equilibrium positions with the aid of graph. Economic profit, economic loss, and the normal profit, short run and long run. So it is very important that you are able to explain the condition for the economic profit, economic loss, normal profit, and then be able also to draw graphs as well as also be able to interpret those graphs. That's what we are going to do now. Economic loss conditions. So economic loss prevails when revenues are lower than the cost incurred in the business. And then also average cost curve tends below, average cost curve tends above, average revenues. And then we'll see with the graph. Average cost or total cost are greater than average revenues or total revenues, meaning AC is more than AR or TC is more than TR. And then the economic loss condition indicate that less revenues are earned after sales as compared to the cost incurred during the production process, meaning we have more expenses, but we have less income received. How do you calculate the profit and loss? We say profit equal to AR minus AC times Q, which is the quantity, or we can say TR minus TC, which goes to the point of saying open the bracket, AR times Q, close the bracket, minus open the bracket, AC times Q, close the bracket. Then we substitute and get our answer. There we go. And then we continue. We have the graphs now, or already our AC is already there. So it got there earlier than we did. Then that's our axis. After that, we have our cost and revenues. Then we have our output or quantity. Then we have our, what we call it, the MR equal to AR equals to D. There we go. Then we have our price there, which is 30. After that, we'll obviously have connect our points. Our quantity is 80. Then we have our MC. There is the, what we call it, our cost. AC is there. MC is there. Then let's connect the, we have E as a loss minimization point. Then let's check. There is the box for economic loss. All right. So this is the complete graph now indicating economic loss. Why we say this is economic loss? It is because our AC is 50, but our AR is 30, meaning costs are more than revenues, meaning AC is greater than AR. For that reason, the firm is making economic loss. At the same time, TC is more than TR. For that reason, the firm is making what we call economic loss. All right. Then we continue. Let's check. The shaded area indicates economic loss. Point E here indicates loss minimization. What we call is the loss minimization point, and then 80 is the loss minimization output. And then also we check 30 is what we call loss minimization price. Let's check the price. The graph explanation. Point E, loss minimization point, where MR equal to MC. And then the firm makes economic loss because AC is more than AR. Shaded area indicates economic loss. 30 as a price is the loss minimization price, and then also 80 is the loss minimization output. So the firm makes a loss because when you calculate AR minus AC times Q, 30 minus 50, this 30 for revenues minus 50 for the cost times 80 give us 1,000, negative 1,600. For that reason, the firm is making economic loss. We go to economic profit condition. So the profit occurs when revenues earned by the business are more than the cost that incurred in the business, and then average revenues tends up above what we call average cost curve. Then also average cost tend below average revenues. So average revenues or total revenues are greater than average cost or total cost in that situation. The economic profit condition indicates that more revenues are earned by the business after sale compared to the cost incurred in the business during the production or distribution process. Economic profit is known as a supernormal profit. Be aware of that. Then we go to the graph. Then as usual, vertical and horizontal. Then we label our cost and revenues, then our output. After that, we have our demand curve, which is AR equal to MR equals to D. Then we have our 70 as our cost there. You can see those are costs, those are not revenues, 90 as an output. And then there is our supply curve as MC. After that, we have 100 as our AR or demand curve. That is our AC as average cost. That is MC also. After that, we have E as a profit maximization point. Thereafter, there is the box indicating economic profit. Why we call this economic profit? Because average revenues are 100, average costs are 70. So average revenues are more than average cost, or total revenues are more than total cost. For that reason, the firm is making economic profit. Shaded area indicates economic profit because AR is more than AC or greater than AC. And then E is the profit maximization point. 90 is the profit maximization output. And then 100 is the profit maximization price. Then we check the graph explanation. So point E indicate profit maximization, where MC equal to MR or MR equal to MC. The firm makes supernormal profit or economic profit because AR is more than AC or TR is more than TC. Shaded area indicates supernormal profit or economic profit. 100 is the profit maximization price, and then 90 is the profit maximization output. Profit because AR minus AC times Q. So 100 minus 70 times 90 equal to 2,700. For this reason, the firm is making a supernormal profit. Then we go to the normal profit condition. Normal profit prevails when revenues earned by the business are equal to the cost incurred in the business. Average revenues are equal to the average cost, or tends along average. Average cost tends along average revenues curve, or average revenues are equal to the average cost. Then average revenues or total costs are equal to the average cost or total revenue. AR equal to AC or TR equals to TC. The normal profit condition indicates that revenues earned are equal to the cost incurred in the business, meaning the firm is not making a profit, neither a loss. We call this minimum earning that prevent the firm from leaving the market. And in this situation, the firm breaks even because it is not making a profit, neither a loss. These are minimum earning that prevent the firm from leaving the market. This means expenses are equal to the income for the business. Then the firm is not making a profit, neither a loss. There you go with the graph. Vertical or horizontal. Then we have a cost or revenues. Then we have the quantity or the output. After that, we have our demand curve, AR equal to MR equal to D. Thereafter, we connect our output, which is 80, and then the price, or then MC as a supply curve comes in there. And then 50 is the price, meaning our AC and MR are equal because the point in there is simply equal. You can see AC is turning along AR, meaning the firm is not making a profit, neither a loss. It breaks even. Point E there indicating the profit maximization point, where MR equals to MC. Then 80 is the profit maximization output. 50 is the profit maximization price. Then we continue graph explanation there. And then point E indicates profit maximization, where MR equal to MC. and then the firm makes normal profit because AR equal to AC or TR equals to TC. 50 is the profit maximization price, and then 8 is the profit maximization output. Profit is it's a normal profit. So how do we calculate AR minus AC times Q? 50 minus 50 times 8 equals to 0. Then the firm is breaking even. It is not making a profit, neither a loss. Then we go to the shutdown. Remember, for the firm to shut down, firm doesn't simply shut down. The firm will start by making economic profit. After making the profit, it will make maybe the normal profit. From the normal profit, it will make what we call economic loss. If it's severe, the firm will then be shutting down. So economic profit comes first. Normal profit will be happening. Then that's when the firm is not making a profit, neither a loss. Economic loss will then happen. If the loss become more severe, the firm will shut down. How does that happen? The firm, remember, the firm must be able to cover its variable cost. So there are two main costs that are existing there: fixed cost and variable cost. The firm covers its fixed cost, and remember, fixed costs are not negotiable. The firm cannot operate without them. So the firm does not also have an influence over the fixed cost. They sign the lease agreement for the given period of time. But variable costs are manageable. The firm can manage variable costs. If the firm cannot afford to cover its variable costs, that firm should exit or shut down or leave the market. So under which condition does the firm shut down? The firm will shut down if the AVC, average variable cost, equal to the price, AVC equal to the AR, AVC equals to MC, AVC equals to MR. Then the firm will be exiting the market. Let's check. Exam guideline. The industry. Explain economic profit or loss, normal profit with the aid of graphs. Explain normal profit with the aid of graph, long run. Explain shutdown point using cost and revenues, FC, VC, TC, TR, and explain graphically AR and AVC. Then let's check what's happening there. Shutdown condition. Shutdown occurs if the market price that a perfect competitive firm faces is below average variable cost at the price of maximization output. Then for an individual firm to continue with its operation, it must be able to cover its fixed cost and variable cost. And then the failure to cover operating costs or variable costs result in the firm shutting down or leaving the market because the firm has an influence over what we call the variable cost. It occurs when the marginal cost curve or MC crosses average variable cost. When MC equals to AVC, the firm has to shut down. It also occurs when total revenues are less than total variable cost and when average revenues are below average variable cost. So shut down if AVC equals to MC or AR equals to AVC or P equal to AVC or MR equals to AVC. The firm will be leaving the market. So here we have to draw the shutdown point. So we have the normal graph in there provided to you, our AR, our MC, our output, our quantity, our profit maximization there. Then let's see. The new curve is indicated AR1 equal to MR1 equal to D1. Thereafter, we have a new profit maximization point there at point E. The output is decreasing from 30 to 40. So I want to see something here. There is the point indicated. What's happening there? The firm here is initially enjoying economic profit. Where is the economic profit in this graph? The profit is there because revenues are 50, costs are 30. Then the firm enjoys economic profit where AR is 50, but AC is 30. But on the second situation, on our AR1, the firm enjoys normal profit. Why we say it's a normal profit? Because our AC that will be drawn there, let me simply draw or indicate the AC. Our AC equal to AR1. They are equal here at point E1. In that situation, the profit has been reduced to the normal profit. Then the firm is just making a normal profit or breaking even. Then the quantity produced decreased from 40 to 30. And then let's see that danger line. We have AR2 equal to MR2 equal to D2. What's happening there? The price goes down to 20 and the quantity decreases from 30 to 10. And then we have a new point in there. Then as we see this thing now, I want to remove this one. Now, what is happening? The firm now is making economic loss. How do we see it's an economic loss? It's an economic loss because you can now see that your AC is 30, but your AR has decreased to 20. Your AR2 is 20, AC is 30, meaning your costs are more than your revenues. In that situation, the firm is making economic loss. Like I was saying, the firm doesn't simply shut down. It starts with economic profit that is indicated here, where your AC are 50, your AR are 50, your AC are 30. The firm enjoys economic profit because here revenues are more than cost. After that, the firm will be dropping to the normal profit. That's when your AR equals to your AC at 30. Then the firm is now making what you call economic loss. That's when your AC is 30, but your AR2 is 20. Then the firm is making economic loss. If ever this loss is severe for the firm to survive, then the firm will be shutting down. How will the firm be shutting down? There we go. We come across AVC now. That's when average variable cost equal to AR equal to MR equal to the price. Then the firm will be billing its good buys in the market. Under this condition, the firm cannot afford to cover its operating costs or the variable cost, but it does have an influence over them. That point there, point S, that point indicate the shutdown point. Simply means the firm cannot charge any price below 20. The firm cannot produce anything below 10. The firm is exiting the market or is stopping producing that particular product. Remember, shutdown doesn't mean that the firm is leaving the market. It simply means if the firm was producing two products, it can happen that the firm is unable to cover its variable costs in one product, but can cover in another product. So the firm have to stop producing that particular product where it is faced by the cost advantage. For that reason, that the firm will stop it. That's a shutdown in that particular product, but will continue with operations on another product. Shutdown can either be the firm is leaving or the firm is stopping producing a particular product, but continuing to produce other products within the market. This is the graph explanation. Point where AR is more than AC indicate economic profit. That's when now we see AR is 50, AC is 30. The firm is making economic profit in there because AC tends below AR originally. And then at the point E, a firm maximizes its profit because MR equal to MC. Normal profit is achieved where AR1 equal to AC. You can see now here, AR1 is equals to our, our AC. They are equal. Then the firm enjoys normal profit. The profit that was enjoyed here is being reduced to the normal profit. The shift of AR1 to AR2 creates economic loss since AC is more than AR1. You can see that when we have AR2 down there, our revenues are now 30, but our cost remains at 30. Then the firm is making economic loss. But should this loss be more even severe, then the firm will be shutting down. No price can be asked below 20, and then no output can be produced below 10. Then we have our shutdown point in there at point S. Then the formation of the supply curve. The marginal cost, which is MC, is the supply curve of the firm under perfect market. Be aware of that. If they ask you in the exam, which curve is regarded as the supply curve for the firm under perfect market, that is our MC as marginal cost. Remember, our MC is the what we call a J or neck shape. But then there's a part that which is regarded. I will show you when I draw the graph. The lowest upward sloping part of marginal cost is regarded as a supply curve. Then let's continue. The firm can start supplying on the upward part, sloping part of the supply curve, not on the downward sloping part. That will be indicated graphically. Nothing can be produced by the firm at the downward sloping part of the supply marginal cost because that is not regarded as a supply curve. The supply curve is not downward sloping, but it's upward sloping. Then let's go. There you go. Horizontal, vertical and horizontal. Then cost and revenues, that is the output. Then we have our demand curve. AR is MR is to D. After that, we have the price. We are determining what we call the supply curve. Okay, there is the point. So you have your AVC now, beginning of the supply curve. So how do we see the supply curve? The supply curve is formed at the point where AVC cuts what we call MC. Where AVC equals to MC, then the supply curve will be formed in there. Meaning this part, which is downward sloping, not even straight up to this point, is not regarded as the part of the supply curve. The supply curve is straightforward, being upward sloping. So we take from this point going up and say we have the supply curve of the firm under the perfect market. So from this point, you can see an arrow indicating where do we start our supply curve. There is the point of the beginning of the supply curve, and then we continue. So the supply curve is the supply curve is the MC, where at its lowest point, where MC equal to AVC, the supply curve begins. The part that is downward sloping like this is not regarded as supply curve because our supply curve is upward sloping. You can see this part is positively sloping, then you can say it is the supply curve. The other one, bottom part, is not the part of the supply curve. So the firm cannot supply anything below there. Let's go to the Commission Policy Act of South Africa. It prevents monopolies and other powerful business from abusing their power. It regulates the formation of mergers and takeovers and acquisition of companies who wish to exercise market power. It stops firms from using restrictive practices like fixing prices and dividing markets. These are objectives. It promotes the efficiency of the economy. That's a primary duty of what we call of the Commission Policy Act. It provides consumers with competitive prices and variety of products, and then encourage South Africa to participate in the world market and accept foreign competition, and then also promote employment and improve economic welfare, as well as participation for disadvantaged people in the economy. So those are some objectives. These are 3 institutions that were formed by Commission Policy Act of South Africa to ensure that they monitor and promote fair competition: the Competition Commission, Commission Tribunal, and the Tribunal or Commission Appeals Court. This one does the primary investigation and suggest the fine if the firm is found guilty, and this one review those submissions by commission, and then it will be making its own judgment after its own investigation if the firm is guilty or not guilty. If the firm is guilty, the fine will be imposed. It lays final charges, this one, the Commission Tribunal, but this one receive appeals by firms that are not happy with what we call with fines or penalties imposed on them. Here we go, they are being explained. Commission investigate restrictive practices, business practices, abuse of dominant position and measures in order to achieve equity and efficiency in South African economy or South African market. That is one of its objectives. Then we continue. Measures and takeovers cannot occur without evaluation or investigation and consent of the Commission. Even the SOE cannot be sold without the intervention of Commission to give the rightful or a right to the government to sell that particular business to the private sector. We saw what happened with SAA. It was nearly sold, but after the investigation by Commission, papers were not adequate to give evidence why it was sold, and then in that situation, the sale was withdrawn. Findings and recommendations are submitted to the Commission Tribunal, and then the tribunal will make its own judgment. Commission Tribunal. It is a tribunal of record and independent from the other commission institutions. The tribunal's functions are grant exemptions, authorize or prohibit large measures, adjudicate if any misconduct takes place, issue an order for cause on matters presented by the Commission. It imposes fines on the firms found guilty of misconduct such as collusion or price fixing. And then Commission Appeals Court. Its status is similar to the High Court of Competition. Its main function are to review orders made by Commission Tribunal and amend or confirm these decisions. In case a firm was found guilty by the Commission Tribunal and found guilty by the Appeal Court, the fine will be upheld. But if the firm is not found guilty by the Commission Appeals Court, then the fine will be withdrawn, meaning the penalty won't be paid. Remember, firms will go there and appeal decisions if ever they're unhappy with fines. Success and the failure of Commission policy in South Africa. It has been successful because it's been able to make provision for institutions like Commission Tribunal, as well as Appeals Court to investigate any unfair commission practices in the country, functioning as an investigator and evaluator of restrictive business practices, also making recommendations about penalties for businesses found guilty of misconduct or abuse of power or positions. We continue. The Commission is empowered by the Commission Act to investigate, control, and evaluate restrictive business practice, abuse of dominant position, and measures in order to achieve equity and efficiency in South African economy, helping the economic power of big businesses to arrive at a more equitable distribution of income and wealth in the economy, regulating measures and takeovers to regulate market power of measures. And then we continue. A Commission Policy Act has promoted competitive economy by doing the following: successfully investigating and prosecuting unfair commission or on a regular basis in the country, making recommendation about penalties for businesses found guilty of abuse of power, and then implementing Commission Tribunal who accept or reject investigation and recommendation of Commission and confirms penalty imposed, and also the Commission Amendment Bill has improved the Commission policy by holding directors, owners accountable for uncompetitive behavior, and then making it possible for businesses to appeal for penalty imposed by the Commission Appeals Court. if ever they are not happy. Remember, the penalty is imposed by whom? By a commission tribunal. Then the appeals court will be reviewing. Keeping the economic power of big businesses arrive, that's a repeat. And then regulating makers and takeovers to regulate market power of makers such as Mass Market and Walmart that were found guilty of misconduct, where conditions were imposed to prevent possible unemployment. And then we continue. Police did not promote commission. So before we go to the failure, it's also been successful because as we speak now, I'm not sure if the investigation is over, with big insurance companies in South Africa being under investigation of fixing the premiums. It has been alleged that they fix insurance premiums where they say you pay 350 to receive 3 million life cover. So that situation appeared to be more similar or common by the commission. Then investigation took place, and then commercial banks have been found guilty of fixing exchange rate, and they were slapped with some fines. Also, Tiger Brands was found guilty of misconduct. It was fined. Walmart was found guilty also with Mass Market for illegal merge, and they were also fined. So it has not been successful because there are still frequent occurrences of collusive behavior despite fines being imposed. And then fines were too lenient and did not act to deterrent to collusive behavior. And then the original commission policy did not take into account the impact of makers and acquisitions on SMMEs in terms of fair pricing. Then the shortcomings of the competition policy has led to the adoption of the Commission Amendment Bill, which will promote competition even further. Too many dominant firms prevented disadvantaged black industrialists entering the market because of barriers to entry. And then we have an assessment. Well, the lesson is almost over. I'll be quick. Name any 2 examples of perfect market, then agricultural sector, stock exchange, then a foreign exchange market, etc. And then name 2 examples of explicit cost. Then we check wages and salaries. Then we talk about lease payments. And then we talk about cost of raw materials. Then we continue. Give any 2 examples of fixed cost. Talk about insurance premiums, rent, lease, contract, property taxes. Talk about depreciation. Then salaries. And then mention any 2 types of inefficiencies that may happen in the market. We talk about productive efficiency or technical inefficiency, then allocative inefficiency, then we also have Pareto inefficiency. And then we continue section B, middle order. Why do businesses in the perfect market structure only make economic profit in the short run? Perfect market entry is free. In the long run, new firms or business will enter the market, which will rise competition. The rise in market competition shrink or reduce long run profits. We continue giving data response. We are given the entry of new firms. As you see, the supply is increasing from S to S1, and the firms supply decreased from 600 to 500, even though you can see that something is not correct here because the market output is less than the the individual firms output. Remember, this is extracted from previous question paper. Where does the marginal cost curve MC intersect with average cost? And then identify the price where the individual producer will make economic profit. Briefly describe the term marginal cost. Why is the marginal revenue curve MR in the perfect market same as the demand curve? Explain how long run equilibrium is achieved in the market. And then let's check MC curve intersect AC at its minimum point or lowest point, which is E1. And then identify the price where the individual producer will make economic profit. That is 10. According to the graph, briefly describe the term marginal cost. The original cost incurred when one more unit is produced. And then why is the marginal revenue curve MR in the perfect market same as the demand curve? And then each additional unit will be sold at the same price, which is horizontal demand curve, because the firm is a price taker. Explain how long run equilibrium is achieved in the market. Economic profit attract new entrants into the market, which increase the market supply and lower prices. The individual firms is the price taker, and the lower the lower price will wipe out economic profit until the price or average revenue will be equal to the average cost. The long run equilibrium position is where normal profit prevails. And then we continue. We use the graph on the discussion now. Use the graph of total cost and total revenue. Explain the profit maximization. There we go. The graph is illustrated. We can see our TC and TR, and then they are both equal here at the point of intersection. And then here we maximize the profit at quantity 4. Then labeling of X's, that's when you write quantity. and the quantity and the price, it's 1 mark. Labeling on Excel, that's when you put numbers here, it's a mark. But now we only have 1 mark to allocate. Correct slope of TC, 1 mark. Correct slope of TR, 1 mark. Indication of point where TR equal to TC, point A or B, then it's indicated for 4 marks. Then graph explanation. Then let's check. At all points where total revenue TR is above total cost, the firm is making economic profit. At all points where TC is above TR, the firm is making economic loss. The gap between TR and TC represents economic profit. The profit is maximized where the gap between TR and TC is the greatest. Of where that are we. This occurs at the quantity 4 according to the graph. Then we continue. Why are equilibrium position for perfect commodity not sustainable in the long run? And then let's check. Profits are signals for entry of new firms in the market, and new technology developed daily, leading increase in supply for the market. The quantity offered by businesses in the market increases, indicating mass production. The increase in the supply leads to the decrease in the price due to the lower cost per unit. Remember, when they supply more produce in large quantities, there will be obviously lower cost per unit. All businesses in the industry will make normal profit and produce the minimum of the long-term average cost. Okay. Then the economic loss will lead to some businesses leaving the market, and the supply will decrease. The decrease in supply will lead to increase in price until the same level as the long-run average cost. If businesses are able to turn their losses to profit, they will make normal profit over the long. Any other answer is accepted. And then let's see, just-in-time date. Okay, the next lesson, this is not 25 April, that is in May. Remember, next week Friday we are not in. We will be here that Friday of another Friday of May, not the first Friday. And then 14 hours up to actually 16 hours is our lesson. We will be dealing with the imperfect market. Then we go to the summary of our lesson as we close the lesson. Perfect market competition differs from the imperfect market structure because of number of firms, price determination, market efficiency, as well as output size. Remember, under imperfect market, we have an issue of what we call there is imperfect information in most of them, and then the high barriers to enter, they set their own prices, they are inefficient, there is less output. As new firms enter the market, profit by existing firms will be decreasing to normal profits because of high competition, which will lead to increase in market supply as firms will be increasing. The exit of firms decreases market supply and increases the firm's individual output, and as well as the supply, which will be increasing their profits from normal to the economic profit. The perfect market equilibrium position is flexible compared to the one for the monopoly because the firm does not have influence over the price. It is the price taker. Should the market set the new price, the new equilibrium will be created. The individual firm has no control over the fixed cost, but can control what we call the variable cost. Should the firm fail to cover its variable cost, the firm has to exit the market or shut down or stop producing that particular product. I, Mr. Mplongo, thank you, and I believe this lesson will be of the greater incentive as you prepare for your June examination. See you next week. Thank you, Mnumzane.